All right. Well,
Thank you.
thank you, everybody, again, for being here for track one to catch James and I's talk. Hacking Together Success. James, who are you?
So my name is James McQuiggan. The day job is security awareness advocate for KnowBe4. I get the pleasure of going down to conferences, giving presentations. I produce our Security Masterminds podcast. I got stickers for the podcast. If anybody wants any, come on up afterward. The side hustle is I'm a college professor in Central Florida, teaching cyber ops to the next generation, or corrupting, depending on however way you want to look at it. But getting those next generation of cybersecurity professionals into the workforce. I'm also the ISC2 Central Florida chapter president. So all about networking, all about getting people connected and meeting in the community. So, and as you're going to see a theme here with Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers 3 was always my jam, was always a game I like to play. But honestly, when it comes down to playing video games, it's all about need for speed.
And I'm Jerry Auger. I am the chief content creator at Simply Cyber, which is like, it is a YouTube channel, but it's grown much larger than that. It's a whole community, kind of a movement. I'm really, really proud of it. And I see a lot of people in chat, I guess, in chat here from the community. So it's great to see you. What we're going to give is a plan to execute on it. And we're going to give so many different ideas that there will be at least one to resonate with each of you, if not more. Now, if I can, one quote that I think is incredibly valuable is, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. This is the thesis statement for this entire talk. And essentially, I've been working in the industry for about 20 years. We're going to get a slide here in a second. But networking professionally is unbelievably valuable. It is the most valuable thing you can do for yourself professionally. You can be the most, valedictorian, top of your class, lead hacksaw, unbelievable, and somebody who's not as great as you gets a job because they know somebody. And it's not because it's a spoil system or nepotism. It's because no one knows how awesome you are because you haven't been networking. Okay. And that is why I find it important enough to fly out here and give a talk on it, because it's just so unbelievably valuable. We wanted the talk to be fun, so there is a Nintendo 8-bit theme running through it.
So here we have a 3-in-1 game, right? We got Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt and the Trackmate game. But the reason we have this is there's different ways to play the game, and the game of life, the game of how we have our careers. And essentially we're looking at 3 different ways. How much work are you putting in? And essentially what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little audience participation.
Yeah.
Right.
So get you guys engaged.
Get you guys, wake you up, because I know with Leslie, she did a lot of hand raising and everything else. But one of my favorite things that I love to do with these audiences is yoga. No, I'm kidding. No, but I was waiting to see who was going to react to it. But no, actually what I'm going to do is I love to do fun little videos, and I have a lot of several coworkers at KnowBe4, and we're always trying to one-up each other when it comes to our audiences. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little introduction. I'm going to do a little selfie video, but then I'm going to spin the camera around. And when I spin my phone around, I want everybody to clap and cheer and show us how excited you are to be here at Wild West Hackin Fest. And yeah, our presentation too. So hang on just a second. And when I spin the camera around, that's when you all clap and cheer. Wait. Hold on there, Jesse. All right. So, got to turn the camera around. Here we go. You got to be in the studio, Jerry. All right. So here we are, coming to you live at Wild West Hackin Fest in Deadwood, South Dakota. And you know what? We've got the best audience here in town.
Nailed it.
There we go. Thank you very much. That'll be on, I'd say Twitter, but I'll probably put it on LinkedIn later. But there we go. So that kind of gets the energy going, gets everybody awake with the cheers. You want to do the claps?
Yeah. So really quick clap exercise. Here's the thing. Some of the things that we are going to suggest, you may already be doing it, not even realizing it. You may be doing it in a way that is not optimized and maximizing the opportunity to develop those relationships and unlock opportunities that you don't even know about it. Okay. So, all right.
One clap.
Yeah. Clap one time, right? A one clap, Jesse, right? If you've ever spoken at a conference before, one clap. Boom. Okay.
Cool.
What if you've ever attended a conference? One clap. Oh,
that would be everybody because we're here at a conference. Yeah.
All right. So there's a whole bunch of different things. Let's keep going because there's so many slides.
Oh, you want to carry on? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right. Yeah, go.
It's all about audience participation, right? Yeah. So here we have the Game Genie. Anybody played Super Nintendo, NES as kids when we were younger? Yeah, cool. Playing it now on our Switches. All right. Anybody remember the Game Genie? Yeah, okay. That was like cool hacking back in the day. But, for us with the Game Genie kind of gives you an insight to be able to level up, be able to get through particular parts of the game that may be difficult because it was like magically changing the rules for us. And so, like I said, it's kind of that early hacking capability. And so when we look at our careers, look at what we're doing, how can we hack our careers to kind of improve, to level up, to make ourselves that much better? So we're going to look at a variety of different examples, different information, different ways. And we've got it set up like a matrix, so to speak. And so what we've got from a matrix perspective, we've got consumer and producer. And then we also have on the other axis, it's going to be junior and then senior. So a junior person would be something, what do we say, 2 to 5 years? Yeah. That's where you want to do the clap hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you are working in industry or not in industry and you are 2 years or less, one clap. Okay. So if you're 3 years or more, one clap. All right. So more on the senior side. Okay. That's good. We got you covered, though, because there's a whole bunch of tips for senior people, too, because, well, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that, yeah. So first of all, what we're going to do is going to look at the consumer. How do you consume? How do you level up through consuming, where education sessions, training, whatever it may be? And so as we look at different options that you've got, we could be networking at local events. The real way to do it, you can level up and be speaking. And a lot of the times when it comes to with the chapter that I have in Central Florida, one of the things that I highly promote is to get my own members to speak. Because I tell them this is a safe space, this is a safe environment. It's like if you ever go to a Toastmasters meeting, it's a safe environment. Even if you get up and you're, stumbling through your speech, it's okay. That's the same environment, and one of the things that I found that works really well for a lot of the junior ones are them to present case studies, things that you've worked on or things that you've worked through that you can share. And those go a long way. And a lot of folks, the seniors then appreciate that because they see what the juniors are doing and thinking, okay, all right, they get that education in there as well. You could be a part of the Simply Cyber Community Insider. Woohoo! All right. Do you know anybody that runs that, Jerry?
Yep. So, yeah, I certainly do. And the reason you're going to see all these bullets are all very diverse in the way they do it, like networking at local events, right? That's an obvious one. It's an easy one. You could do it right here, right now. Sometimes it can be awkward to walk up and break the ice, if you will, especially if you're socially introverted. But something as simple as sitting next to someone at lunch or at breakfast, or like just, hey, like you're obviously at the conference with us, right? You're part of this community. So, hey, can I sit down? Do you mind? Like whatever. You start that conversation. What are you into? Or they give a talk. Hey, like I'm actually interested in that. I work in that space. Let's have a conversation. Simply Cyber Community Attendance. So again, it's I do a daily threat briefing every single morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, every single day. Now, the reason I bring it up, you think, oh, Jerry, you're up there just spewing off and people aren't doing it. There's over 400 people live in chat every single day, and they're all talking, they all catching up with each other. And when you deal with someone every single day, you begin to know their story, both their professional and their personal one. Oh, hey, how's your kid feeling? I know they were sick the other day. Oh, how'd that job interview go, right? And again, one thread that is important here, and we're going to cover this during the caution slide, is that it's not all about just maxing out, getting that person of that network to give you a job or something like that. It's much more involved. And that's the Simply Cyber community. Again, super easy, super accessible, even if you're introverted.
Right. And tying in with that, we have the Discord community. And granted, there is one for Simply Cyber, but there's Discord communities all over the place in all different areas, whether you're into red teaming, blue teaming, purple, with security awareness, whether it's gaming, whatever it may be. But getting involved in those and having those conversations can go a long way in help building those connections that you've got as well.
Yeah, and I want to point out something too. Two things. One, just like joining a Discord that's a cyber Discord, like, okay, that's fine. But you you do have to engage, right? You have to contribute and participate in the network. Even if you're not producing value into that Discord network, simply saying, hey, thanks, Jesse, for putting that on there. Or, hey, you posted that link and I checked it out. Great resource, right? Like, be involved, be engaged, don't be passive.
You could join the ISC2 local chapter. Who put that in there, I wonder? No. Whether it's ISC2, whether it's ISSA, whether it's local meetup, OWASP, whatever it may be, maybe a hacking type group that's in a DC group, DEF CON groups that are in your community as well. Getting engaged as a junior, going out and meeting and networking with other people is a great way to kind of make those connections and move forward. If you are a junior and you're looking for those certifications, the ISC2, shameless plug, I don't work for them, I'm just a volunteer and been a part of it for a number of years, but they have the Certified in Cybersecurity certification, and you can take that for the big whopping cost of $0. You can earn that certification without paying a dime. They have it so that if you join up, you get a part of the candidate program, and then they'll give you a voucher to take that CC certification. So whether it's ISC2, CISA, ISACA, whatever it may be. All right.
I think I put this one here. So another great opportunity that, so sometimes, and I get this a lot from people who are junior, feel intimidated. They reach out and they say, I don't know how to do this, right? So with advent of cyber, which is try-hack, means like CTF or any CTF, maybe the meta CTF that they're standing up here at Wild West Hackin Fest, or, whatever, choose your own adventure. Getting on the Discord, hey, does anyone want to do the CTF with me? Huntress just did a CTF the other day. I said, hey, anybody want to get on a team? Let's do it. 3 people jumped on. A couple of people I didn't even know, like they were in the Simply Cyber community I hadn't engaged with before. And there we are in a breakout room working on some CTFs. Like it was great. It was awesome. And you begin to know those people and they begin to know you, and you're helping each other get skills. And then the conversations are just much more accessible because you're not breaking the ice anymore. You literally already know them. You have a relationship.
So, of course, the other one, and I mentioned it, touched upon it already with Toastmasters. Has anybody ever been in Toastmasters? Handful of us? Cool, great. I know for me, and I ran 2 chapters like 10 years ago. One of the things a lot of the time people think Toastmasters is all about just public speaking. That's a part of it, but what you get out of it is leadership skills. You're basically putting on a meeting every single week. It's like an event. And so there's logistics, there's planning, there's coordination, looking for people to take on certain roles, kind of like how you would be in a business. You need to get people to take on certain tasks. And with Toastmasters, you get the ability to repeat that process time and time again, week after week after week. And when you do something repetitively, it builds that skill stronger. And so for me, when it comes to Toastmasters, looking at an opportunity to not only grow your public speaking skills, if that's what you're into, but also leadership skills and confidence. Gaining that confidence is key, and being able to, that you can get up and just talk about a particular topic if you ever had to.
Yeah, and just as a personal story, even though I publicly speak all the time now, I used to be awful at it. Like, I'm talking massive anxiety load of just and choking. I don't know if anyone else has to deal with this, but where you're choking up and you're getting cold and not being able to speak, it sucks. It's a terrible feeling. Toastmasters can help you with that. I personally probably chose the worst path. I just continued to lean into it until it became comfortable. It took me years, honestly. So probably explore a different path, but just know you can go the hard way and it will eventually work out.
Yeah. And that's the thing about one of the things I would always have people tell me in Toastmasters is they're nervous when they got to get up and speak publicly. I'm worried what the people are going to think. We already know about imposter syndrome, but now you're worried about getting up and making a mistake and that kind of thing. And it's fine to have butterflies in your stomach because that means you're breathing. I always tell people, if you're not nervous, you're not breathing if you have to get up and give a speech through public speaking. So just get those butterflies to fly in formation. Granted, it might be easier said than done, but again, it comes from that repetition.
Yeah, and just one other thing that about public speaking, and then we could do that one. I'm just thinking, it just occurred to me, co-presenting with someone, James and I did this because we wanted to do a fun project together, but co-presenting with someone is a way to kind of reduce that anxiety, because it's not all eyes on you, it's all eyes on us, and you feel a little bit of a distribution of that anxiety. Again, this is more of a really niche tip for people who suffer for that, but I'm just throwing it out there. All right.
Of course, the fun thing is when you get two people that love to speak and they're both presenting, it's like, okay, I'm going to talk now. No, I'm going to talk. Okay, so, yeah. All right, volunteering. So for me, volunteering has always been a big part of what, in my career, being able to give back. Whether that's through the chapter, whether through Toastmasters, whether volunteering at conferences. That's a great way also to be able to meet other folks, collaborate, connect, and so forth. But volunteering, there's a personal satisfaction that comes along with it as well. I know for me, that's one of the big reasons I like to volunteer. I like to be able to give back time and talent to the community or individuals.
Yeah, exactly. And remember too, like people always are interested in volunteering, especially at conferences like your local B-sides. Reach out, hey, can I help? Can I volunteer? Remember, the thesis underlining this entire talk is networking and building relationships with people, because it will inevitably pay dividends. I guarantee you. I can't tell you how it will manifest for each individual person, but I guarantee you it will manifest. And that volunteering is such a great way to do it, because you're immediately, it says consumer, but this is actually more of a producer, because you're actually delivering into a network by doing that volunteer work.
But a lot of the time, it could be volunteering and doing just a small role. You're still consuming with what you get, the support you get from folks all around. All right, so as we start to level up, Mario's eating the mushroom, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, eats the mushroom, gets a little bigger.
It was the 70s, man. It was a weird time.
Weird time. See, that's why I don't eat mushrooms. That's why I'm so short, is because I don't eat mushrooms. But I don't eat mushrooms because I'm enough of a fun guy. So, I had to get that in there. All right. So we're looking at mid and senior staff now at this point. People that are 5. Did we do the clap for people that were 5 years old?
Yeah, we did. Okay. It was more of them. And they should definitely know that they can consume in a network. It's not just juniors consume and seniors produce.
So as we're looking here, we get focused training at events. So now you're working through your career, you've got a particular passion that you might have or a particular focus that you've got within your career. And so you're looking at doing that specific training through particular events, whether in your area of expertise, or maybe you want to learn outside of that expertise. Okay. I was throwing it to you, see if there's anything you wanted to add. Masterminds, one-to-one knowledge share. There is coming out of the ICS space. I spent 18 years working at a little German company called Siemens. Went to a lot of power plants, wind farms and so forth, but being in that industrial control system space, that very niche environment, one of the things that they do in that space, there's a group of them that kind of got together and said, we need to do more information sharing. We need to do more getting together and sharing of information without having to do consultant fees. There has to be more sharing. We need basically a beer ISAC. And as they got off, Patrick Miller, the guy who came up with the idea, as soon as he got off stage, somebody had already had a Twitter handle and a website created called Beer ISAC. But now Beer ISAC is like 400 people, but it's a one-to-one opportunity where you can get together with people, and it doesn't have to be a beer or an alcoholic drink. It could be soda or coffee, tea, or whatever, but it's the opportunity that you take to get together with somebody that's of a like-minded position, take them out for a cup of coffee, have those conversations. And if it's not just that one time, it could be on a Zoom call, but you could even be doing it on a regular basis.
Yeah, and when you're doing like those focused training at the events, for example, and you're basically learning something in a class with people who are basically in the same role or a similar role, that's where you can develop those relationships. Leslie said it in her talk earlier. I say it all the time. Nobody, I don't care how much time you spend in the industry, you will never be like an expert at everything, right? Someone's going to be really good at something, you're going to be really good at something, and there's an opportunity to do a knowledge share to help each other benefit and grow. Because guess what? The thing that you're an expert at, you probably made a lot of mistakes on the way. It wasn't a straight line, it was a squiggly line. And you can help someone just do the straight line and shortcut it in exchange, because you're now delivering in and out of a network. You're going to benefit from their experience. And that's where those masterminds come from. I mean, that's just a quirky commercial term that gets used, but it's basically like a one-on-one knowledge share.
What about, what is it that you do? You do something monthly where you connect with various masterminds.
Yeah. So yes, I do. Okay. So basically, over the years, I've developed relationships with different people who have very specific niche skills that complement what I'm doing right now in my life with my business and my career. So every month, I have a call with, I think, 6 different people. Usually I reserve it for like the 3rd Friday of the month, but It's like an hour call. Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? What, you last time we were on the call, you'd mentioned this. How's that going? Oh, I found this new tool, like ClickUp, okay? I don't know if you guys heard of ClickUp. It's like a competitor to Monday or Asana or one of these things. I'd never heard of it before. Last night, having to talk a one-on-one with a person that may become a regular weekly, monthly one-on-one call. He was like, oh, you got to use ClickUp. It's absolutely clean. Like Asana, bloated, ClickUp, streamlined. I'm like, done, right? Can you imagine how many hours I would have spent dinking around with Asana trying to figure out how to make it work, when in reality I could just leverage all the benefit and all the heartache that he had with Asana, and now I'm just up in ClickUp moving along. Now, that's not exactly Infosec per se, but the lesson is the same, right? It's like knowledge share and learning, so you don't have to make the mistakes. And most importantly, you don't have to waste your time. Okay, time is unfreaking believably valuable, and if you don't have to spend it making mistakes someone else already made, thank you, absolutely. And then, by the way, the law of reciprocity, like if someone's helping you, you're absolutely going to want to help them. It's just a human nature of being able, of wanting to deliver back for something that they gave you of value.
No, definitely. So seeing us here as we are here at Wild West Hackin Fest, hallway cons, getting an opportunity to be able to chat with people in the hallways. I know for me, this one is my first time being here. But there are other conferences that I go to, Infosec World, ISC2 Congress, DEF CON, those kind of conferences. I spend more time in the hallways catching up with folks because I never get to see them really throughout the year. So I find myself more in hallway con, but building those relationships, having those conversations with them, and also getting that one-on-one type conversations as well, getting tips, best practices, and so forth to kind of help level me up.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say too, with hallway con, that it says mid-senior staff, it can be junior staff. But one thing, because a lot of people, and I thought this too, it's like, what am I going to do? Just like walk up to this guy in the green shirt and like bum rush him and be like, hey, you're in the hallway, let's talk. Like, no, that's not how it works, right? So typically it's like, oh, you were doing the things earlier, like doing the CTF, Advent of Cyber with a couple people. Oh, I'm going to be at Wild West Hack Fest. No kidding, so am I. There's so many people. Jack Scott over there in the pink shirt. Her and Erica. First time. I've been friends with him for years. First time I met him in real life. Hallway cons happening all up in there. The other thing, especially if you're a senior, it's like James is talking to Josh, and I know James. Now I know Josh, and the introduction happens, and you begin building that network. Again, the goal of all of these actions is to build a meaningful network of professionals and like-minded individuals, and that you're going to start producing and consuming within that network. And when the network gets large, it's going to be unbelievably powerful.
And now that I've met Josh, I'm going to get him to come down to Florida and do a training for my chapter. So
yep.
There you go. Invite only on Discord and Slack. So specific, again, so we were talking about the different Discord communities. These are ones that might be invite only, that are a lot more niche, specific for an area that you're interested in. So getting an opportunity to be able to, meeting people and then getting invites to those.
Yeah, and this isn't one thing I want to point out, because like if you know me for a minute, I am all about support, inclusion, accessibility for everyone. Like I'm not a gatekeeper type person. So this invite only thing, it's not like, oh, like you're a noob, like, ugh. No, it's much more like in order to curate and maintain the conversations that go on in there, instead of having it be an open-ended and anyone go, that backpack's awesome, having anyone go in there. So, and you find out about it through network. You will never see an invite-only Discord like posted on Twitter. And it's like, oh, we got this sick invite-only. Like I'm a member of a couple, and it basically you consume and produce into a network. Someone realizes that like you can add value to that network of Discord or Slack, and then you get invited and off you're running, and you unlock that.
Right. So as we get to the end of the consumer perspective, now we start looking at providing or producing. So we've had our consuming of junior and senior. So now we look at provider of the junior. So what can you do as that junior, that 2 to 5 year, or 0 to 3 years, 4 years? Present at a conference. So maybe you've had an opportunity to present at a local group. Now start submitting for CFPs, and whether conferences like this or Infosec World or B-sides events, which are great, the ones in your community, to certainly go ahead and being able to submit. And if you don't get accepted, that's okay. Maybe if you go to the event, talk with them or talk with somebody else to figure out, okay, what was I missing? Was there something about my particular talk? Did I not write it properly? Because a lot of the times, and I've done content reviews for conferences for CFPs, and a lot of the time it's didn't answer the questions that we were looking for in the information, or that we just had way too many topics, or it was something that has already been talked about way too much. It's kind of like when you think of the entrepreneurial mindset, you know, if you're going to create a widget or create a service, it's got to be something that is needed in the community or that you can provide. And so if you've got a particular topic or case study that you think might be of interest, well, then that certainly is going to be a good opportunity there to submit for that. It could be something research that you've done and being able to present on that. So that, you know, looking at presenting at con is going to certainly be based on the fact that you want to present at a conference, but that's a good way to be able to start providing information back out to people. Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, and this, again, one thing I will state that I hope it's probably one of two things that I want everyone to take away from this talk. The providing into the network is unbelievably valuable. I'm telling you, if you pour into a network, it will inevitably push back into you. I can't explain it. It's like this weird phenomena that happens, but I've seen it personally multiple times. I've seen it to happen to people multiple times. So the provider section of this talk is incredibly valuable. And the presenting at a con, it's an easy one to understand. It's a really well-defined process. There's a call for papers. You submit an idea. It gets accepted. You put a deck. You come up here and present it. It's a pretty straightforward, well-defined workflow. So it's a good one to, like, you know, get your chops going. Obviously, you do have to present. So if you're dealing with that public speaking issue, like I mentioned I had earlier, you'll certainly have to work through that. But, you know, virtual cons are a little less intimidating, right? Simply CyberCon, just to, you know, reference one. So, but please continue.
Oh, gee, thanks. Okay. So we have Slay Security Plus Python 101. So looking at, what'd you do?
So this is my bullet anyways.
Well, then there you go.
Okay. So, all right. So
it doesn't say Jerry. It just...
I know. So the presenting at a con is like a generic one that everyone knows about and understands. But let me give you a couple examples of innovative ideas that I saw through the Simply Cyber community that you don't have to be a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year practitioner in order to do. And Slay Security is one of them, and Python 101 is the other. And I'll make this brief, okay? A couple years ago, a guy named Peter McQuiggan, he was a brewer for, like, literally, like, brewed beer at a brewery, and he was sick of the grind, and he wanted to get into Infosec. He's like, how do I do it? And like, okay, so he gets in there, he starts contributing, awesome. He said, Jerry, I think I need to learn Python. I said, it certainly wouldn't hurt. He said, will you create a channel in the Discord server called Python 101? I will post a challenge there every single day, and I will solve the challenge because it's going to hold me accountable and help me learn Python. And if anyone else wants to learn, they can do it there. He blew that up. I mean, it was like 30, 40 people solving a Python challenge every day. He was doing it for himself, but he thought, how can I use this to benefit others? He could have just read a book on Python. He could have watched YouTube videos, but he chose to do it this way in addition, and it provided value to at least 30 other people, and now he's off and running. The other one is Slay Security Plus. So this guy right here, front row, Jesse Johnson, right? Woo! Also like to celebrate Jesse, broke into the industry recently. Congratulations, Jesse. So he got Sec Plus, right? And he's like, oh, people are always talking about Sec Plus, how hard Sec Plus is. How do I train? How do I study? What questions? All this. So he's like, hey, why don't I put together a community that meets weekly, goes through, holds each other accountable, has assignments, asks trivia questions, not trivia, but like knowledge assessment type questions and stuff like that. And he's been doing it, and multiple people have joined it. He didn't paywall it. He didn't make it a business. He just said, here's something that can help you if you want, come. And it's like the Field of Dreams. He built it. Dude, how many people you got in there? Hundreds. Yeah, hundreds at least. And it's not even that old. It's like a month old or 2 months old. Hundreds of people already in there. So like, I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be this like unbelievably grand magnum opus of an idea. Like, you just take action and move forward. Everybody's got great ideas, okay? Execution is the trick, okay? So just execute on it. These are two great examples. Thank you.
Career days. Now, we're not talking that you go to the career days to learn about a career. No, we're talking about either might be through a family member, maybe your own kids or nephews, nieces, but family members being able to go to one of the career days and talk about what it is that you're doing, sharing your experiences, because we know that we're trying to get more people into the industry, but certainly a career day is going to be a good way to be able to give back there in that perspective as well.
Yeah, and it could be, that's a great way to start public speaking because you're talking to like fourth graders, right? Like a little less intimidating of an audience.
But those fourth graders can be brutal.
I know.
Been there, done that.
Like, I've learned the term bussin' lately and cracked. I got kids, so I'm like trying to stay cool. It's not working. But anyways, I'm just saying that like it can help with the public speaking.
The other fun thing, speaking of talking to like fourth graders, fifth graders, my wife's a semi-retired school teacher. No problem talking to students. She always hates parent-teacher night because she hates talking to the parents just because she gets all nervous and everything else. So I'm like, you talk to kids all day long. She goes, yeah, but they're different. They're at least, a little more engaging. But the blog, the Twitter, LinkedIn, but having engagement. This is kind of being able to give back, producing or providing that information. Again, sharing your experiences or case studies without giving away anything that could be considered confidential in your organization. One of the things as teaching at the college, one of the things I actually started doing this semester with my students is that every week we talk about a current security event. And I basically give them 3 questions they have to answer. And we call them the top questions. Takeaway, opinion, and perspective. And essentially what I want them to do is to think about the event. So last week, talked about the ransomware has been a surge up. Wall Street Journal had an article about ransomware surging back up. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about 23andMe with the credential stuffing that went on with that. As students, they're so ingrained in learning and going through the exercise, need to be able to get them out there and looking at what's happening in the real world. Well, one of the challenges I put to them was, okay, great, you're going to write this up in a document and submit it, and I'll grade it and go forth from there. The challenge was, I told them to post on LinkedIn. Make a video, put it out on LinkedIn, share your thoughts, your perspective on it. And I've actually now got a couple of students that are doing it. So that way they're now kind of getting their name out there, kind of building up that brand reputation. So Jason, be glad that you didn't have to do that. One of my former students is actually in the audience today. So, all right. You didn't have anything to add on that? I took care of that for you.
Yeah, no, you are amazing, James. I'm just singing backup over here for you. So one thing I will say with the blog, LinkedIn, Twitter, again, remember, you're trying to deliver into a network, to grow a network, because again, it's going to pay dividends at the end. If you write like one blog post or post one thing to LinkedIn, you're not going to get the traction, right? So consistency is one thing that's very important, okay? And the second thing is being real, okay? So if you are just kind of starting your journey and you post like a YouTube video and you get like 3 views or something like that, don't get discouraged. You're building into something. Again, consistency, it doesn't matter if it's blog, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever it is, consistent and deliver value. Like, oh, here's just a hot take on what I got. Like, I would challenge you, like something super easy that would be super valuable. Post once a week on LinkedIn, like Thursday tool of the week, Thursday open source tool of the week, whatever. Like, here's Atomic Red Team, right? Boom. Okay, here's like some, PS exec, like whatever. It doesn't matter. Just people will start to recognize, like, oh, yeah, Daniel Lowry, he's the guy who's always posting a tool of the week. There was one I saw a couple weeks ago that's super good, right? And then they reach out to Daniel, hey, what was that tool? Now you're starting to network, right? It's very organic.
So now we start looking at the provider for the senior staff. So looking at looking greater than 5 years, lots of experience. What are things that you can certainly be doing to provide back to next generation? Of course, the first thing is looking at being a mentor. Looking at sharing your experiences, your insights, your experience and everything with someone that's working their way up. Now, how do you do that? It's not like you could go walk up to somebody here at a conference like you were going to do before, but it could be through either like a local chapter or networking group or whatever, or even mentoring within your own organization if you're a CISO or senior manager, working with somebody down in your level. Now, on the flip side of that, as a junior, you could go and meet with the CISO and go for coffee. Again, doing that one-on-one overall.
Yeah, and I would also say if you are choosing to do mentorship and helping someone, I would actually go a little bit further and kind of capture some of the essence, because the questions that mentee is asking you is probably common across multiple people. I do this with Simply Cyber. Like, you get the same question, FAQ, right? So make a video and then you can answer that question a million times, like mentor at scale. So in order to take advantage of that and have economies of scale with your time, your energy, and your resources, oh, hey, like I got a question, like how do I choose what field in cyber do I go into, right? oh, well, here are my thoughts on that. Boom, there's a blog post, or boom, there's a LinkedIn post, right? And now you're actually, basically scaling your contributions into the network, which again is going to pay dividends in the end.
Teach. Pretty simple, small world, but essentially one of the things that to really give back is to look at teaching. Now, whether you feel that you may not be of a teacher quality, that's fine. But again, if it's something that you can't get into mentoring, but getting connected in with your local community college or university, depending on your level of education, but being able to go back and teach in those environments, not only are you educating the students, but you're also sharing your real world experience. And that is, I found a lot more valuable being able to give that to my students as well. All right. Yeah, we're also talking or speaking at cons. We've hit on that already really from the junior perspective, but again, at the senior level, certainly again, being able to, now we start looking at leadership, management, risk management, those higher level topics as well. You doing all right there?
Yeah. I'm just being respectful of time. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, go ahead. Internally, your org.
Yes, internally, your organization. So we touched upon, mentoring, looking at somebody within your organization, working with them, providing that guidance overall, either career path, but also helping them. If you're a manager overseeing people that work for you, you're helping them be successful and move on as well, whether in the organization or elsewhere. Discord servers, whether you start creating or you start contributing, we've already heard what Jesse was doing, but looking at doing something similar there as well, being able to share your experiences, looking at, creating those activities, actions, things that they can go through. And then, of course, looking at blogs, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so forth, similar to what we talked about on the junior level, but now you're providing more insights at a higher level overall. So some cautions to consider and hence the Kid Icarus, Icarus flying up to the sun, too close to the sun, yep. Wings crashed. And Leslie touched upon it as well in her talk with regards to, I'm sending out 100 resumes, nothing's happening. And that same thing applies here. Not everything, while we're providing a lot of insights and a lot of information, there is the effort and okay then. How is it they get to be louder than us? Anyway. But it's not always going to hit all the time. And that's the unfortunate reality. But the truth that comes with that is looking at the fact that, having to work through it. Yes, you can follow the recipe and the souffle doesn't turn out right. The same thing. It's going to come down to, either right place, right time. It could be meeting the right people. But just understand that it may not always hit every time.
Yeah. And there's also like a work-life balance, right? So you can take all of these tips that we gave you, and you can volunteer for every con and submit to speak at every con and travel all over the place and just burn yourself directly into the ground, right? So you've got to be mindful and realistic. What I would actually argue is be deliberate about what you're thinking about. Like, okay, so Jerry's making some cool sense and James is looking good. So what we could do is, how about we're going to try to speak once a quarter, right? Or what con is, like, just once next year. And I'm going to post like one LinkedIn post a week, right? I do YouTube. I have a couple people who have reached out to me. And they're like, oh, I'm going to do a YouTube channel too because it's awesome and it works. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. And they're like, I'm going to post one video a day. I'm like, dude, that's pretty hardcore. And they're like, all right, one video a week. I'm like, that's still pretty beefy, dude. Like, you better, kind of. And they're like, no, I got this. And then they do 3 weeks of videos. And then they don't post for 6 months. And it's going back to the consistency thing. That doesn't do anything, right? You're not taking advantage of it. Consistency is incredibly valuable.
So when and then we're talking about a lot about volunteering, giving back, whether you're teaching, working at cons, presenting and that kind of thing. It's important, and Leslie again touched upon it as well, but that work-life balance is important. I know my parents, they have a habit of turning to me when they're like, hey, because they live in the same town as me. They're like, can you come around for dinner on whatever night? And I'm like, nope, sorry, got this event going on. All right, how about that event? Nope, got something else going on. But it's a matter of, for me, a lot of it comes down to is the compartmentalization of it. Being able to isolate and separate, work on the task or focus on doing it at that particular time without, letting it all fall in onto itself.
Yeah, and one critically important thing that I want to point out here is that a lot of jobs in industry, right? A lot of jobs in industry never get posted, okay? Some of you here probably have your job because you knew someone. And I said this at the beginning of the talk. It's not that it's not fair. You are qualified for the job. It's just easier for the hiring manager not to have to go out to market and look at everybody if they got someone they know. How do they know that someone? Because of networking, because it's like a side door that they knew someone could walk through. So, but what I want to tell you is, as I underline that I cannot tell you how delivering into a network will produce results for you. You cannot, and this is a psychological thing, and I know if you're like desperate for a job or you're in a really bad situation and you're looking to get out, that this could be bad, but you cannot approach delivering value into a network as I'm going to get a job from this. Like, I can't explain why, but you will have like, you'll have like stink lines on you. Like, it'll be obvious that that is your intent and you're not truly delivering genuine like authentic value into the network. You're doing it with a deliberate ends to your mean, and it's just going to be, I don't want to call it fraudulent, but it's just not going to resonate the way it needs to. You have to be part of the community and contribute into the network, and then it will pay dividends. Believe me. Again, I know it's like taking it on faith, but trust me, like if you just follow it, believe me, it will work.
All right, so with the last couple of minutes that we've got left, let's talk about some call to actions for you that you can do here. Because essentially, you know, talking about volunteering, talking about consuming, maybe you aren't the one that wants to be creating all the content. You just want to find all the information and consume it, you know, but figuring out what it is, where you fit in that matrix overall. And then, you know, whether you want to be a passive observer, you just want to sit in the back and do your code and so forth. You don't want to have to speak. Maybe it's collaborate with someone that could do the speaking for you and work with you on that. Tonight, there's the chess tournament that's going on, and that's another opportunity to be able to network with other like-minded folks that like to play chess, and anybody can come and play tonight.
Yeah, and one other option, some of you already know about that. It's a bit of a secret, so you're lucky that you stayed to the end. Every single weekday morning, as I mentioned earlier, I literally host for hundreds of people, absolutely free, a live daily cyber threat briefing. Now, here's a reality. If you work in industry, you know this, and if you're looking to get into industry, you know you will find this out. You will be asked in any job interview, how do you stay current in industry? If you work in industry, you need to stay current. The reason is our industry changes so frequently, and the threat actors pivot because it's a cat and mouse game, that you need to stay current. So whether you consume it by listening to SANS Internet Stormcast or CISO series, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to do it. I've just developed a way to do it in a fun, engaging, and like healthy network community way. And like I said, there's hundreds of people there every single morning engaging. A lot of these people over there, right there. So anyways, it's right. Yes, exactly. So it's a great opportunity. You'll see the socials links in here in a second that you can get to it, but it's worth it checking out at a minimum.
And if you're really, really fortunate, you get to co-host with Jerry on the show too.
Yeah, James co-host this morning because we did it live from my hotel room at 6 a.m. Yeah,
so if you've got any questions, let us know, because I know we've come to the end of the time. That's how you can find us online. I'm on LinkedIn, but you can go out to my website and get my connections there. Jerry, you can get through your Simply.
Yeah, I would go to this URL, simplycyber.io/socials, because I have the YouTube and the Discord, and I've written books that you can get for free on my website. Like, I've just got a boatload of resources that I want you to take advantage of. So I had to make one link for it.
So with that, thank you very much for your attention. Appreciate y'all being here this morning, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the hallway. Thank you very much.